The 2025 real estate market. Where do I see mortgage rates heading? Are home prices going to continue to rise? Should you buy a home in 2025, invest in real estate, start home flipping, and even do a little bit of wholesaling? In today's video, I'm going to share my predictions on the real estate market. Now, I will touch on some policies, but just be sure this is not a political video. These policies just affect the real estate market, so I'm going to bake that into my predictions. And these are just predictions, so just take it with a grain of salt. Now, before we go on, please comment down below your predictions on the real estate market in 2025. Where do you see it heading? Also, like this video and subscribe. Now, the first thing I want to speak on are mortgage rates, because mortgage rates dictate investing in real estate, buying a home, because it tells you your monthly payment, how much things are actually going to cost in your business or for your mortgage payment. Right now, mortgage rates are around 6.6, 6.7%. This is towards the end of 2024. And my predictions are that mortgage rates are not going to drop below 5.8%. I don't think they're going to drop super low. I don't even think it's going to go that low to 5.8%. I think if mortgage rates do drop and they drop significantly, the lowest it will go is 5.8%. My actual prediction is that mortgage rates in 2025, by the end of the year or just averaging it out, I think it's going to be around 6.1%. I don't see it even really going into the 5%. So if you're looking to buy a home or invest in real estate, don't wait. It's not going to make a difference. Right now it's 6.6. In June or something, it may be 6.4 or 6.35. I don't think that makes a big difference. Like, if you find something right now that makes sense for your portfolio or for you buying a home, just do it. And of course, make sure it works in your budget and you're saving properly for a down payment, or you put in a bigger down payment so you can put that payment down. But I believe that in any market, any mortgage rate, most mortgage rates, you can still make money or you can still buy a home. So if you find something that makes sense for you, I would recommend to still go after that, because you just cannot predict where mortgage rates are going to be, and just don't wait. Like, this deal that you find right now, you may not see it later. And the reason why I think mortgage rates are going to stay in the 6% are because of the 10-year treasury bonds. Now, that's mostly tied to mortgage rates. Investors, they invest in bond yields or bonds when there's a threat of a recession. So when the pandemic happened, the 10-year treasury bonds, their yields actually went down, but their price went. The price of the bond went up, the yields went down when there's a recession threat. The government and Wall Street, they still believe inflation is a threat. And so since inflation is a threat, the 10-year treasury bond yields are higher, but the prices are lower. And so since the yields are higher, that's mostly tied to mortgage rates. That's why mortgage rates stay high. So even when the Fed drops rates, if there's still a threat of inflation, bond yields can actually go up and mortgage rates can go up. That's what we've been seeing over the past couple of months when the Fed has lowered the Fed fund rate, because it's not 100% tied into the mortgage rates. The bond yields are more. So I know that was a lot of technical stuff. I hope that makes a little bit of sense, but 10-year treasury bonds, they're just investments, and they mostly tie to mortgage rates because you hold mortgage rates for way much longer. The Fed fund rate is tied into overnight borrowing, and you don't buy a home overnight. People mostly look at that. And then there's mortgage-backed securities, but that's a lot of technical stuff. I'm still trying to learn that fully, but I just know the basics right now. So right now, inflation is still a threat, and so that's why I think mortgage rates actually do need to stay a little bit high. So because if they drop lower than a 5%, then we're going to have 2021 once again where home prices just explode. You're going to have everyone buying homes at that time. So I think actually staying in the 6% is actually probably better, so we won't have a threat of inflation. And then it ties into policy. Investors, they predict how the incoming president is going to react. The different things that he talked about, like tariffs, he cut corporate taxes and all these things. These things stimulate the economy. They raise prices on things. And so that's why Wall Street, they think, oh, inflation may go up, or inflation is still a threat. That's why mortgage rates are still high. That's one reason. That's one aspect of the real estate market that I'm predicting. The other thing is home prices. Since I believe mortgage rates are going to stay in the 6%, I'm predicting around a 6.1 or 6.2%. I believe that home prices are going to continue to rise, but they're not going to explode. I see a 3.5% price gain on home prices. You know, if you take $100,000 house right now, beginning of 2025, at the end of it, I think maybe it'll probably be worth $104,000 or $103,500. So I see between a 3.5% and 4% price appreciation. So home prices are going to continue to rise. I don't think they're going to jump as much, but it's just a steady climb with real estate. And I don't see it dropping significantly unless we have another pandemic or war here or something like that. Now, taking those two main things about the real estate into account, should you buy a home? Should you invest in real estate? Like I said earlier, if you find something that works for you and your budget, yes, jump on it. Should you do more of a risky side of real estate investing, which is home flipping? Yes, do it, because I still see home prices staying stable. And even with a 3.5-4% gain, that's pretty stable. Yes, it's going up, but it's not jumps and downs and things of that nature. So I do believe that whether you want to hold a property as a rental or buy a home flip, that can still work in 2025. And I think the good thing about owning a home is that your rent is going to continue going up, right? And buying your home locks you into your rent payment. Yes, you have so many phantom costs like maintenance, electric bill, water bill, utilities, of course, furniture, whether you were renting or not, you still have to pay furniture. But just like everything that needs to be fixed in the house, like, yes, it's definitely more expensive. Even if you take a same mortgage payment to the same rent payment, it's still more expensive owning a home. But I believe just over time, you just enjoy it better. You gain equity. If there is that 4% gain every year or year by year, you gain equity along the way. Whereas if you're renting, you don't have that. The other aspect with investing in real estate, especially rentals, is that if you own a rental and you're renting it out to people, over time, rent is going to increase, right? Because your bills are going to increase. So you do increase the rent little by little. And at the same time, just the reality, which is unfortunate, that it's going to become harder and harder for people to own a home. The more and more people who can't buy a home, they're going to have your property as an option. Your demand is going to go up, right? Because people are just not going to be able to buy a home. And so since the demand is high for a home and you own a home and you're renting it out, price goes higher because the demand is high. I just feel like that's the future. Like, it's going to become less and less possible to buy a home. It's going to be harder and harder. Now, the other thing I want to mention, it is related to the real estate market, but our thought processes. I believe that a lot of people can afford homes, but it's just not in the area where they want to live, especially people my age. Like, you do want to live in a place where there's a lot of other young people, where there's a lot of activities to do, where there's good restaurants and things of that nature. But there are towns maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away from that town. And yes, I know you don't want to live that far from that town, but you can find those small cities, suburban cities, that you can buy houses for less than 200 grand. I was looking up this place in like Indiana, and they have houses, 3-2-bedroom houses for 175. And they're safe neighborhoods, but there's nothing around it. Yes, you have neighbors. It's not like rural and there's just land everywhere. They're just small suburbs, and they have grocery stores and things of that nature, but there's not like a city or a nightlife or a ton of activities to do there. Those small towns, they are affordable. Another big thing that I know and understand is that people may not find their community out there, or they don't have their family out there. And so they have to make community, and that can be hard for people, or there may not be a community for them, right? Like, usually we like to stay around our same race too, and you don't want to go to a small town where you're like the only Asian or the only black person there. So diversity, the demographics is important. But I do believe that there are a lot of decent towns, even with some diversity, that you can find an affordable home. But like, I wouldn't want to move there right now for me, because I have no community there, I have no friends there, I have no family nearby, and it would just be more difficult to make that transition. But I believe that those towns are probably going to pick up over the next couple of years when people see they can't really afford living near a bigger city. Now, on this channel, I also talk about wholesale real estate. Now, my predictions in wholesale real estate is that I think it's still going to be a viable source of income. I do think it's going to get more competitive just with more licensing, and it's getting more competitive because you have big corporations doing essentially what wholesale real estate is. Just take that into account when you're wholesaling or starting wholesaling real estate. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any thoughts. Essentially, I see 2025 being seen a more stable year on real estate market. It was pretty stable in 2024. Like there wasn't huge jumps or huge drops. There was some times earlier this year where it did hit the 5%, but for the most part, it wasn't big variations in mortgage rates or home prices this year in 2024. And so in 2025, I see the same, like similar, very similar. And I think it's going to be a little bit slower than 2024. I don't think home prices are going to rise as much or the mortgage rates are going to drop so low unless there's pandemics or wars or there are changes in the Fed, like people getting fired, maybe Powell leaves, or he gets re-signed or whatever it is. That would change my prediction for sure. So we'll see what happens. These are just my predictions. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll talk to you all later.